Everyone. All right. Well, my name is Dr. Tad DeLay, and this is Jewish philosophy. And I wanted to give you basically a brief version of the orientation session that we would be having if we were in class, and hopefully give you kind of an overview of what the class is, what we're going to be looking at, what the assignments are, and kind of what the bare minimum is that you need to know this week to survive and get going on the course assignments. So a little bit about me. I am. I have been teaching for about 5 years. I live in Denver, Colorado, with my wife, who's also an educator. She is from Michigan. We have long-term plans to move back to Michigan. So I've been really excited to be brought on board by Michigan State in order to teach this course. We're going to be looking at a lot of 19th and 20th century Jewish thought. We'll be looking at some older material, but a lot of 19th and 20th century Jewish thought is influenced by Marx and Freud, which are what I specialize in. So that was kind of why the department has brought me on. I study psychoanalysis and political philosophy. My doctorate's in religion. I have master's degrees in philosophy and theology as well. And I did my undergrad in psychology. So I'm interested right now a lot in fascism studies, climate change, and the intersections of those events in the world with political philosophy classically construed. So that's what we're going to be covering. We're going to be covering kind of a number of older Jewish thinkers to kind of lay the groundwork and see how the tradition of Jewish thought has evolved over time, but we'll be spending the bulk of our class in the 19th and then especially in the 20th century and then a tiny bit in the 21st century as well. I think that studying Jewish philosophy in particular, and philosophy more broadly, is terribly important in our world today, not only because we're seeing things like the rise of new types of, or resurgences of anti-Semitism and other types of bigotries, but also because Jewish philosophy gives us a heavy focus in how we think of the other, how we think of our ethics, how we there's lots of different modes of Jewish philosophy, of course, and what I like about philosophies in general is that it forces us to confront what we see in another. We read a complex thing, and we are forced to try to understand the world in the world inside that figure's head, and why we see the world differently than they do, or perhaps what they might have to show us how we are wrong in how we perceive something or whatever else. What I love about humanities courses in general, I guess I should say, is that it's always confronting us with how we are wrong about something in surprising ways, and it confronts us with how we feel when we realize that we're changing our mind about something, or how one figure takes something for granted and perhaps it's something we've never heard before. So what is it that I perhaps don't understand that they understand? And it's that constant struggle with where am I now and where do I see my views evolving towards, and how does it feel when I'm about to change my mind? That's, to me, like the interesting thing and the reason that we study philosophies and religious figures. So we're going to be doing a lot of that in this class. You can look up the syllabus and you will see like the grand scheme of how we're going to be doing this. All the assignments are going to be under the content tab on D2L. Readings and assignments, the assignment drop boxes are each within each week's module. So there's 15 modules for 15 weeks. First off, I guess you do not have to buy any text. You're welcome to buy text if you would like, but I have put PDFs of every reading that we will do within the module for that week, right? So everything that you will read for week 1, you will go to the content tab and then select the week 1 module, and then you get your 2 readings, and then also the assignments for that module are also within that week 1 module. Okay, so all of the materials and the drop boxes are all built in within D2L. Read the syllabus, right? It has the schedule, it has the policies, it has as minimal clutter as I could possibly try to get away with. I really tried to just build a syllabus with the information that you actually need to know. It has the late policies for assignments, and you might notice that on the schedule, most modules, with the exception of the 2 modules where you'll have analysis papers due, but all the other modules are set between a Monday and a Friday, right? So you can read ahead over the weekend, but you're not turning in assignments or discussion posts over the weekend. Okay, so read the syllabus, read the policies, read the late policies for work. Understand that if you don't turn in assignments on time, like discussion posts or reading summaries, they're just done, right? So you want to get as many of those points as you can in order to have as good a grade as possible. And also notice that there's no extra credit on this. So if you are falling behind on something, talk to me. And if you need an extension for an emergency, tell me ahead of time, not like a week or 2 after the fact. But I'm here to work with you and learn with you, and so communicate with me and we'll see what we can do. I'm sorry if there's some noise in the background. My puppy is tearing up a toy of his, and so hopefully that's not too loud here. Okay, so course requirements. All assignments, again, are under the content folder, all the readings and the drop boxes for your assignments. You will have 5 requirements in this course. First off, you have an intro talk in readings section. So all written assignments are submitted to drop boxes within each week's module on D2L. So I'm going down the list here on my thing, making sure I'm covering everything. You will never send me a written assignment over a message or email. All written assignments are checked for plagiarism. So if you wait a minute or so after the submission, you can see what your score matches and check it to make sure you didn't accidentally plagiarize. If you plagiarize on an assignment accidentally, fix the problem and resubmit it. If I see multiple submissions with, like a high plagiarism match and then a lower one later on, I will take that as evidence of good faith efforts on your part that you were trying not to plagiarize. If you do plagiarize, however, I'm just going to zero the assignment, and after 2 instances, you may be dropped from the course. You can read ahead, and you can submit reading summaries ahead of time, and you can do analysis papers ahead of time, but you must participate in the discussion posts within the week that they are assigned, right? So certain things you can do ahead of time, certain things you cannot. Okay, and I'm not going to be flexible on the dates that assignments are due. So, for example, if you are going on, let's say, spring break a week early, you can turn in the assignments that are written that week, like the reading summary, but you won't be able to get points for the discussion posts, right? You'll just have to miss that, and you will have to be okay with that if you're not present for the class in the time period when the class is happening. So hopefully that seems fair enough and clear enough. But let me know if I can clarify on that. Okay, sorry, back to the assignments. We have reading and intro talks. So each week's module has 1 or 2 reading selections, about 30-ish pages. Some are a little bit longer, some are a bit shorter because they're more complex, but in the neighborhood of 30 pages per week. If you have 1 reading assignment or 2 reading assignments, read everything that I give you to read, and then you'll get more out of this class, obviously, both in terms of a higher grade and in understanding and growing intellectually if you actually do the reading. The intro talks I've embedded intro talks that are sort of a brief summary type lecture that are each sort of 3 to 6 minutes, something like that. So these brief intro talks I have embedded from YouTube over into D2L. And those will hopefully help kind of summarize the key points that I want you to take away from this assignment. And sometimes they help you help draw attention to key points that I want you to focus on. So there's an intro talk that goes along with the reading. And also note that in Module 2, in Week 2, I have an optional reading set that's called Religious Development of Judaism Today. It's from a textbook that I use in an intro religions class. If any of you feel like you have just no clue about what Judaism looks like today, this is a good reading to kind of give you the overview. So A lot of time I find that people who don't really have a lot of exposure to Judaism, and it seems kind of like, okay, like, so what is the Mishnah? What is the Talmud? Like, what are the different sects of Judaism? I'm like, how does that work? And especially a lot with my Christian students will have the impression that Judaism today looks a lot like what they read in their Bible, in the Hebrew Bible, or what Christians sometimes call the Old Testament. And that is not the case. Judaism is very different today. If any of you've read the Bible, you'll note that Judaism today looks not only a lot different than the Israelite or Jewish faith in the Bible, but in fact, Judaism today did not exist in biblical times, right? Nobody who was writing the Bible would have considered themselves Jewish in today's sense of the term. And so that's a good optional reading if you kind of want to familiarize yourself with the big developments that were kind of taking place from the time the Bible was written up until now. And then let's see. Okay, so we have reading and intro talks. That's the first big requirement. Secondly, we have reading summaries. Every week on Thursday, you will have a reading summary for that section of the reading. The rubric is in the syllabus, the requirements, the length, and everything like that is all in the syllabus. But what you're trying to do is show me that you have read the material and tried to make a good faith effort to understand it. Right, so this is really just a way to encourage you to actually do the reading and to give it some thought and time. If you actually do the reading summaries are not heavily intense. They're not meant to be like citations and like very formal. This is just kind of you reading through something, and if you actually do the reading, it should take you no more than 5-10 minutes tops to summarize key ideas from the reading. Next we have discussion posts. These happen in 2 phases. So by the Thursday of the week, so for example, for this Thursday, by Thursday, you after you do your reading summary, you will do a discussion post. And I will give you a prompt every week, and you will respond to that prompt. And then by the next day, by the end of the day, Friday, you will have responded to at least one other peer. You can respond to multiple peers if you want. And then if anybody responds substantially to your initial post, respond back to them. Basically, this is what we're doing instead of classroom conversation. I assume that most of you who have done online classes before are roughly familiar with how this process works, but so you'll have your initial post by Thursday, and then follow-up posts by Friday. Again, you can post ahead of time, like you could log on today and do your discussion posts for that due Thursday. You could do that today, but make sure to log in later this week on Friday and respond to anybody who's responded to you. Okay, so let's see. So discussion posts, and then the only writing things that we have other than that are 2 analysis papers and a final reflection essay. So the analysis paper, we're not going to have a big, massive term paper. We're going to have 2 shorter, slightly less formal papers. You will do citations on these. You will try to develop an argument. But I've divided these up into 2 shorter papers throughout the semester. The analysis papers have a rubric, which you can find next to the syllabus on D2L, or just underneath it, I believe, then the rubric explains the expectations and citation requirements and avoiding plagiarism and all of that. And also the first analysis paper will be for material from the first half of this class, and the second analysis paper will be for the material for the second half of this class. So hopefully that makes sense. And then finally, we'll have a final reflection essay in the last week, which will be a thing for you to kind of think about what you've learned and how views have been challenged or changed, or et cetera, throughout this course. I think that's about it. If you need an extension for an emergency, again, ask me ahead of time, not several weeks after it has happened, after I've already assigned grades. But I care a lot about students feeling like they are heard and learning and supported. So please let me know if I can help you with anything, or if you need some more clarification. I am available over email or D2L, or we can Skype. Again, since I live in Denver, Colorado this semester, I'm not on campus this semester, so we can talk over the phone or Skype if you need additional assistance. So let me know if you need extra support. There's also a chance that I've of course erred on date ranges on D2L or on the syllabus. If I've made a typo, let me know. There's always a chance that happens, and I'll appreciate your helping me realize that I did something wrong. So contact me if you have any questions. And then again, for this week, to what you need to know this week, start the readings. You have an Adorno and then reading by Theodore Adorno and Hannah Arendt, who are both major 20th century Jewish thinkers on the philosophy of fascism studies. So read those two characters and think about Auschwitz and anti-Semitism and the desire for deception and all of that. We're going to start forming a language around some of these problems. So do those readings, and then by Thursday you have a reading summary due, and then by Thursday also you have an initial discussion post, and then by Friday you will follow up with at least one of your peers and respond to anybody who responds to your initial discussion post as well. I think that should be it. This has gone on plenty long enough already, so let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you enjoy the course.